This is my Reading Rockets writing module video. For the first question, my understanding of the concept based on the introduction. From the introduction, I learned that writing development and reading development are really closely related. Students with reading difficulties can have a harder time with writing. The module stated that this could be because of limited vocabulary knowledge, lack of understanding of text structure, poor phonemic awareness, or lack of letter sound knowledge. Children begin to understand writing and print awareness at a young age, and it could look something like a small child scribbling on a page to write. I think our introduction gave us the example of a small girl scribbling a letter to her dad, and then reading it to her dad and saying that it says "I love you, Daddy" and all this stuff. Um, it also stated that to write well, students need to develop skills like basic writing skills, text generation, skills within the writing process, and writing knowledge. To describe the most interesting thing I found in the in depth section, I found it really interesting to learn about the need for higher order thinking skills in order to be an effective writer. At first, when I read it, I didn't really understand what higher order thinking skills had to do with student writing. But after reading through it, I understand that higher order thinking skills are needed to figure out the overall idea from reading a text, to figure out the strategies involved in completing a long term project, to start the project on their own and then make progress step by step, and to evaluate, revise, and proofread their own work. They are needed for the student pretty much to understand their writing and are needed to help them follow the steps of the writing process. The module also stated that as educators, we can help support higher order thinking skills by using um, frequent check ins and scaffolds such as organizers, written instructions, to help with incremental steps. For the in practice section, I found it really interesting to learn about invented or phonetic spelling in kindergarten. Invented or phonetic spelling is when a young child writes a word the way that it sounds without concern for spelling the word correctly in a conventional sense. Sorry, my dog is barking. I found it interesting in the module to learn about kindergarten writing expectations, as this is also what I got wrong in the pretest. As a para, I felt that children, or my experience as a kindergarten para, was kind of different than what was like explained in the module. I felt that children were learning to write and spell a lot faster. Um, in my classroom that I worked in, they focused a lot on the specific letters using a curriculum called Super Kids. I don't know if you're familiar with it. But in the class that I worked in, they did utilize drawings, but also utilized a lot of writing and even went as far as to have writing journals. And then I remember from the class, we would also test them 3 times throughout the year to see their growth in writing, giving them the sentence, "I have a big dog. Today I am going to bring him to school." We would say that like verbally and then having them write it to the best of their ability. Honey, honey. Um, honey, stop, please. Um, for my pre and post test, for my pre test, the one that I got wrong was the one about kindergarten, just because I guess from my experience, it was like different than what the module had given. For my post test, um, I understood more of the questions simply because the module showed me like what grades should be learning regarding writing and how to help struggling writers, as well as how like interconnected oral language, print, reading, and writing are, and how big the writing process actually can be. Um, For what new understanding I have about writing, I think one of my biggest takeaways I had from this module was um, that at all levels and ages, children's writing needs to be celebrated. Writing is a pretty challenging process from brainstorming all the way to the final draft. Um, Students should be able to feel proud of their work from the process. The writing process is a lot bigger than I thought before this module, and I can see how hard it could be for students to fully grasp all the steps. But with continuous practice, engaging with writing, exposure to print, and meaningful oral language experience with adults, children can be successful in growing their writing skills.